The crab tank is the most powerful special in SalmonRun when factoring in straight up damage totals. However, its long execution time, restrictive use and inflexibility causes it to become one of the hardest specials to get the most out of, especially in a mode like SalmonRun where immobility becomes a detriment. This video will cover the crab tank and I will share some advice that may help you when you're given this special. Stats. The crab tank has 4 different mechanisms of damaging enemies: turret mode, the cannon explosion, the cannon projectile, and the body of the crab when rolling in a ball. In SalmonRun, the damage values are set and they don't change. The crab is active for 9 seconds and gives the user 500 HP. When in walking mode, the user is still vulnerable, regardless of the crab's health, if you're hit from above, either side, or from behind. You can heal off damage by rolling into a ball, and this also protects you from almost all further damage, with the exceptions being big shot waves and stingers. Once you activate the crab, you're committed to it until it either finishes or you get splattered. There is no way to cancel it. The crab flashes red when it's finishing, giving you a warning of how much time is left. There is some end lag between the special finishing and being able to move again. Turret mode. This is a rapid fire mode that rewards continuous shooting with a drastic, sustained increase in fire rate. The crab fires 2 shots and each of them have a set damage of 60. It starts off firing at 12 frames per shot, but with sustained firing, this speeds up to a maximum of 4 frames per shot. This is comparable, by the way, to a 96 gal and then being comparable to a Hydra Splatling. It takes approximately 1.5 seconds to reach the maximum fire rate. Without any interruption of the turret firing, you can deal approximately 7,000 damage, which can be substantially game-changing. Interrupting the turret mode causes the fire rate to be reset. This is when you either stop firing completely, if you decide to fire the cannon instead, or if you roll into a ball. When using the turret mode, you'll likely want to remain mostly stationary so you can focus on your damage output, but you'll need to be mindful about escaping threats. The crab moves faster when walking side to side like an actual real life crab. Moving forwards and backwards is slower. If you need to make a quicker exit, then consider switching to the ball. Cannon mode. This is a single shot fire mode that fires explosive projectiles, similar to how the Explosher fires. The projectile itself does 300 damage, whilst the explosion or surrounding blast deals 150. The cannon's shots pierce through all non-armoured enemies. You fire a shot every 75 frames. Because you only fire 1 shot at a time, you're not punished for moving, and you'll likely want to be moving to hit several targets throughout the duration of the special. You'll likely find it easier to roll into a ball to move between targets and barriers, as there isn't a downside to doing this like there would be when using the turret. Roll. When ZL is pressed, you become a ball and you can roll around and move faster than walking. You also crush enemies, similar to how rollers do. The ball can deal 100 damage. It takes approximately 20 frames to roll up and to start moving. In this mode, you can jump and climb walls, although you can only move up and down and not side to side. As mentioned earlier, you're protected from most damage when rolling. How? For steelheads, you can aim the cannon anywhere on its body when it starts its attack cycle, as the explosive projectile is enough to one-shot it. For stingers, aim the cannon in the middle for a one-shot. For flyfish, aim the cannon above the small fry in the centre to one-shot it. Failing that, you can aim at each individual basket. For fish sticks, you can one-shot them with a cannon if you aim for the top of the stick. It's quite tricky though. When done correctly, you can cancel them before they land. You can also use the turret if you're already using this mode, so you keep the fire rate up. For enemies that have 1200 HP, like big shots, flipper floppers and Moors, you'll want to use the turret mode to shred through them. For enemies that have armour or are shielded from damage at specific points, such as drizzlers, steel eels, slamming lids and scrappers, you'll likely not prioritise these for the crab. However, you'll still want to damage them or defeat them wherever possible, either using the cannon to shoot arcing projectiles higher and over barriers, or using the turret when the enemy has its weak point exposed. For lesser salmonids, you can use either mode. Remember, the cannon projectile pierces through them, so you can use this to hit them when aiming for other enemies. The turret mode is also fine to use against large groups of them. In addition, you can roll over small fry and chum. For night waves, the crab can be extremely useful in creating more golden eggs. For fog, the outcomes are more or less the same as regular waves, except you may need to be more vigilant. For cohort charge, the crab may not be needed, as the cannons on the map provide more or less the same effect. For tornado, the crab can be effective at dealing with lessers if DPS is lacking in the comp. For Goldie seeking, the crab's turret mode can shred through the Goldie with great pace, allowing you to quickly move on to find more of them. For mudmouths, the crab's cannon acts like a splat bomb, allowing you to launch shots into the mouths. This is an excellent way at splatting mudmouths quickly and allows you to pierce through and damage all the lessers that may block your bombs. For grillers, the crab's turret can shred through them with ease. It's best used when you're not targeted by them, and you will likely have an easier time if you find an elevated platform away from small fry. If you need more range or firepower to stun them, the cannon mode can be used for this. For rush, you can use all three different modes depending on the current situation. The turret is effective for filtering and taking care of chum from a safe distance. The cannon will pierce through lines of chums and goldies, allowing you to also play relatively safe and aim to remove threats before they close in. These are best used when you're not targeted in my experience, however confident players can be targeted and still effectively use the crab. The ball is also effective as a last ditch option. You have safety in the form of 500 HP and you have much more movement than using either the turret or the cannon modes. You can jump, climb walls and revive teammates. You can crush all chum, but you will face pushback from goldies which have 500 HP. Be mindful when using this mode. When the special finishes, there is end lag, and if you're targeted, you'll be quickly splattered. For Mothership, it is one of the best specials to maximise egg drop potential. You're able to hit the crates as they spawn and damage the mothership simultaneously, whilst also hitting any extra crates as the mothership leaves. This is also worth using if your comp lacks DPS or range to damage the mothership itself. And finally, the crab tank is incredible for extra waves. The kings have huge health bars. The Megalodontia, just for example, maxes out at 65,000 HP. The crab's turret mode, when locked on for the entire duration, can inflict around 7,000 damage to any of the kings without taking into account the damage multipliers, such as Ouroboros' bomb and Megalodontia's weak spot. If you take anything away from this video, please let it be this. When you are given the crab for extra waves, make sure you use it and make sure you find a space to safely unload the turret mode into any of the kings. The game is almost giving you a free win condition with a crab. Don't ignore that. Why? Crab Tank can provide immediate relief and high power that can comfortably deal with all bosses. There are minor exceptions such as Moors, multiple steel eels and scrappers, which can all heavily interfere with the crab's positioning and movement, but for everything else, the Crab Tank should prove incredibly useful for regaining control and removing several bosses quickly and efficiently. If you notice your teammate using the crab to deal with bosses, this means you can do something else, rather than trying to get the last hit on a big shot. Either protect your teammate from other threats, help remove Moors from their area, and go deposit the eggs that they're providing. When? You cannot use the crab tank as a panic button. Well, I mean you can, it does offer you some protective health and a slightly larger hitbox, but it rarely pays off and often makes you slow or causes you to become completely stuck. You can't cancel this special either, meaning once you click that button, you just have to wait it out or get splattered, which you really don't want to do either. So if there's another really important message to take away from this video, let it be that. Don't activate this special if you're short on eggs with 10 seconds left. You're actively harming the chances of your team winning. Sometimes you don't need to use the crab, and you know what? That's fine. So, when should you use it? Well, with the crab, you need to have a good idea of what's happening and what may potentially happen next. This requires you to have good situational awareness and good understanding of boss cycles, spawn times, and current enemies on the field. This is why using the crab isn't easy. It doesn't give you an easy pass, you need to learn how to make the most out of it. The crab loses effectiveness in snowball situations because of its slow mobility, the time it takes to reach maximum DPS with the turret, and the fact that targets can become blocked. The main thing you can control is making sure that you don't have many enemies aggro to you and that you're somewhat safe when deploying it. I'm sure we've all activated crab only for a Moors to suddenly pop up and immediately cancel it. You want to avoid that as much as possible, which I appreciate is easier said than done. What's also important to recognise is if you need to use its turret mode or if you want to launch shots. In that way, the crab is almost two entirely different specials. With the turret mode, you want to commit to that and mostly only that. Having to stop or refocus penalises you and you end up not maximising the special. You're restricted in how you can move and where you're standing, but once you've hit maximum fire rate, you're unleashing an impressive amount of damage. The idea is that you want to unload all that damage into fewer, bigger targets. The easiest examples are all three kings. Crab has the potential to make or break these rounds, and I'd recommend using it sooner rather than later to ensure your safety first, but also in case you become preoccupied. I usually wait 1 to 2 cycles of king attacks prior to using it so I can find a safe space and know how much time I have before I need to relocate. Hitting every shot with a crab, as I've said, has the potential to inflict around 7,000 damage, which is huge when you consider the total health of the kings. Outside of the king waves, the turret is especially useful for providing range or DPS where you may lack it. Think targets further away such as fish sticks, stingers, big shots, flipper floppers. All of these can be taken down by the turret from a relative distance that affords you a lot of safety. As mentioned before, you'll want to move side to side when you're switching targets, as this is the fastest way to move when using the turret. This is the same for rush and grillers, ideally using the special before you're overwhelmed or time is running out. When using the cannon mode, you'll have a lot more flexibility and freedom to stop, move and fire again. The idea is that you're a portable cannon that can fire huge shots at targets far away that can one-shot them. The cannon is less overall power but more explosive with a wide area of effect. In addition, your shots pierce through non-armoured enemies, so enemies like lessers shouldn't really be an issue. The cannon is used in a similar vein to your inkjet, aiming for faraway statics and using one shot to defeat them. You don't want to stay still and you want to maximise potential targets with each shot. You have the projectile and the explosion of the projectile that causes damage. It's important to note that specials are best used when you think they can expedite a process, either the removal of several annoying statics or to improve speed when egg collecting. For freelance, I tend to always use specials to remove looming threats and prevent snowballs. Regardless of what wave it is, the crab is best used when you are aware that you may be starting to lose control or you may be running behind time. Even if the crab is only used to take out 2 flyfish, that is still a good use of crab if you are struggling with mobility, ink efficiency, or your teammates are down. Otherwise, the alternative is to waste a lot of time doing that job, which is generating enough ink for 4 splat bombs, by the way, or just ignoring them. The crab can do this job in seconds and affords you safety, and you have leftover time to either slay more bosses or damage others. Don't leave it too late with this special. You'll really suffer trying to use it when you don't have specific targets in mind or if you're not in a safe space. I hope this helps you with using the crab tank. It is just a basic guide and there's a lot that can be said for more advanced strategies with this. It's genuinely one of the best specials to have, so there can be a lot of pressure on you to deliver results when you get it. I'll catch you guys soon.